This is The Professionals, a podcast by music business technology and broadcast media technology students on Outcast OCCR Owens Community College Radio. In this series, students will interview industry professionals in their respective fields to help gather an idea of what it's like to work in their industry.
This is Kayden. I'm a student here at Owens, and I am talking to Gary Yonek. What do you do and where do you work?
I work at the chapel in Sandusky, Ohio, Norwalk, and Port Clinton, and I oversee and coach and train a volunteer team of about 45 people.
What drove you to become a sound engineer?
I started in sound engineering when I got out of high school and college and played in club bands, so I had an interest in engineering, primarily front of house, live engineering, and then I went on to study just technology, so I ended up evolving into multimedia and then into what I'm doing now, which is technical direction.
What is a technical direction?
In our capacity, we're a church, so we have 3 campuses. We have 45 technical artists, so my role is to develop people in audio, video, lighting, and presentation. So as a tech director, I communicate with the worship leaders and the pastors. We coordinate what a service looks like, and then I direct the disciplines as they need, whether they need coaching, and sometimes as the program is unfolding, when things are changing, when we cue videos, when we need to open mics, things like that.
What do you enjoy most about your career?
I enjoy working with people. I like leadership. I've evolved into managing processes and leading people. I work with a lot of volunteer sound engineers, some very high capacity people who have been trained in that area, as well as video engineers and camera operators and things like that. But it's working with people. What do
you not enjoy about your job?
Some of the administrative side, like scheduling and things like that. But I work well with that too. It's all pretty enjoyable work. It can be hard sometimes. It can be very difficult, just the scope of what we do, but it's challenging and it's interesting and it's fun.
What kind of software do you use most at the chapel for sound?
A lot of what we do is live front of house, so we're not doing a lot of capture and production. We are building a recording studio right now, and that'll probably be Logic based or Pro Tools. Most of the people that I work with have some experience with Logic 10, and that's probably what we'll start with, because we have the learning curve will be smaller and we have some experience with it.
What does your day-to-day work day look like?
Depending on what day it is, Tuesdays are meeting days, so I'm meeting with my coworkers and our leadership, planning services for the upcoming weekend for 2 weekends out, and then long-term planning for into the next several months. So we're talking about content, we're talking about what gear we might need, what musicians we're putting on the stage, those kind of things. It really has to do with buttoning up communications and how we communicate with people. So that varies a little bit. And then Wednesday nights and Thursday nights and Saturday afternoons are rehearsal times. So I'm at the campuses working with the volunteers and rehearsing with the musicians who are also volunteers. That's a big part of it. And then it's long-term planning and speccing equipment, repairing some equipment. I have just some technical skills to be able to do those kind of things, or be able to get quotes from contractors if we need to do something bigger.
Out of all the other places you can work at, why did you choose working at the chapel?
That I kind of grew into. My earlier career was in healthcare administration, and I had a background in musical and recording art. So my education was in technologies and recording. I went on to work in healthcare for about 12 years, and then I got involved with the chapel early on before we built the facility on Galloway Road, and there was a desire to expand. We were just growing as a church. And we were all on the same page as far as how we wanted to do excellence with music and communications. So they needed somebody to help this construction project, and I happened to have a background working with building nursing homes. That was kind of in my background. So it was just a real unique fit and a real unique time. I started working first of all with a construction project that had a lot to do with designing a live performance room. And that turned into a full-time job because we had to bring volunteers on. We had to train volunteers to operate equipment. And as the church continued to grow, we added campuses. It just kept expanding what we needed to do to carry our mission forward.
You said you worked in like healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly did you do in healthcare?
I was a licensed healthcare administrator. After college, I went to Ohio State, and then I did an internship. And that was because my family was in the long-term care business. So I worked with my dad for several years, constructing facilities and then leasing and operating. So I got some familiarity with construction. And I got familiar with things like zoning and business law and stuff like that, which helps me now because I just have a real broad range of things that I get involved in.
Do you have any mentors in this profession? If so, how did that relationship develop, and what does he/she do?
I would consider mentors. I have a couple of people in the area specifically of technical arts or audio. I have people that I've made connections with through conferences. So there's a couple of people that I communicate with periodically throughout the year, and I watch really close because they're a few steps down the road from what I'm doing in larger type facilities, bigger teams, things like that. So I watch really closely what they're doing and what they're talking about because it challenges me and it gives me a goal to shoot for, and I learn. They're really good people with good integrity, and they're people I like to emulate.
What kind of skills are like really important to this job?
In my role now, and I would say in any role, having the ability to have a big picture, you're serving. And I think if you're talking about audio engineering, I think you're either serving a client for broadcast or you're serving an artist, maybe somebody who's producing a record or an album, or you're serving a live front of house where you're serving a band. In each one of those instances, you're interacting with humanity, you're interacting with people. If you can enable people to be comfortable and to trust you, then you get to do cooler things, I think. I think when an artist knows that you have their back and you're trying to produce them the best that you can, not just because you like to do sound, but you like to see them do well. And I think even employers, they see the value in what you bring. Maybe it's conferences or events. It might not be music production at all, or you might be doing sound design for videos or something. Whatever you bring to someone else, bring your A game and bring a sense of value. Think in a bigger picture of what you can help somebody accomplish through your art and through the work that you do.
Would you choose a different career if you could, or would you stay in the same career?
What I do is pretty unique. I didn't go out and interview for the job. I happened to be at the right place at the right time, and it's a mission that I feel strongly about. So I'm kind of in a unique thing. I wouldn't have changed it for anything. Even the healthcare background and my college education brought me to the point where I'm at right now. Everything built on each other. As far as the mission and the purpose, I get great purpose in what I do. I believe in why we do what we do as an organization. And I think whenever you can put yourself in that position, you've got something bigger to aspire to. I think it contributes to your resilience. It can, when things don't go well or you have a bad day or you have to do something you don't particularly like to do, it doesn't put you in a tailspin. It doesn't wreck your day because you understand there's a bigger picture of what's going on. And today might just be kind of a mediocre day. Some days you get to do crazy great things and express yourself, and some days, you just need to clean up the floor and turn the lights off at the end of the day and do it again tomorrow.
What kind of hobbies do you like to do outside of work?
I have a recording studio in my home, so I produce a little bit of music. I don't perform as much as I used to back in college and high school, but I like to play some music and try to write songs I like to get out on a motorcycle and ride around. I'm not a big biker, but I like to do short trips around town and stuff just to basically get away from the phone. I notice when I'm on my motorcycle, I can't communicate with people, so it's a way for me to kind of disengage a little bit because I'm engaged with people a lot. And I'm also kind of an introvert, so I need to disengage sometimes just to get a break.
What kind of instruments do you play?
That's a good question. I don't play anything exceptionally well, but I try to play anything that makes a noise. I always figured if I can strum it or hit it or blow into it or something and make a noise, I can make music. So I got a basic understanding of music theory, and I've played guitar. When I was playing clubs, I did a lot of bass guitar and harmonies. I did some keyboards, but probably about 25 years ago, I really walked away from performing in exchange for producing. And I realized I couldn't do both well. Like I couldn't perform and mix sound. I had to champion something. And what I decided in my career that I would champion production and let the artists be artists.
What's the best advice you can give someone who wants to go into this career?
Take your education seriously. And I say that I came up at a time where I could be self-taught. Again, I had some different backgrounds that brought me to where I am. But if you're serious about production, if you're serious about audio, you want to be good, not just good artistically, but you want to be educated. You want to be the top of your class. Because I've found just from meeting others who have gone through different programs, if you're not the first or second in your class, employers generally don't call you. You can go and interview and you can apply, but anybody who's looking into programs where they're serious about the entertainment industry, they want the best. You got a very few chances to get in to someplace. Take your education seriously and be broad in your education. Don't be afraid to learn about marketing or copyright law or things like that, because those are the tools that an employer will value in addition to being able to produce music.
My name is Kayden, and I've been speaking with Gary Rupert, who is a sound technician at the chapel in Sandusky.
This has been the Professionals Podcast by Music Business Technology and Broadcast Media Technology students. Join us next time on Outcast OCCR, Owens Community College Radio.